Welcome in, everyone. I'm Viv. This is Viv's Art and Garden, and today I wanted to challenge myself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a larger scale gouache painting. I want to experiment with some gouache. Now I've been doing these tiny little, what are they, 3 by 3 maybe, 3.5 by 3.5 paintings on the Pantone cards, the Pantone postcards. So I've been doing the smaller versions with gouache, but I haven't done anything large. So I said, I need to push myself. I need to do something a little bit larger than the Pantone postcards, or at least that's what I feel like. And this is what one looks. What I do to use gouache on these cards, because they are slick, is I tape off the bottom with some masking tape, right along that line, and then I put some clear gesso on there so that the gouache will actually stick to the card, because it's very slippery and it'll slide off without it. So I've got this roughishly 8 by 10 inch 140-pound watercolor paper. I've also recently purchased a wet palette where it will keep your gouache wet. For the next use I can just cover it and it stays wet. There's a sponge under there. So I've laid out the colors that I thought I would need. I'm using a reference from my garden of some petunias, and they're called maple, and I just love that color. They look so fallish. I am going to take some artistic license and maybe, maybe rearrange the composition a little bit. I'm also going to do this in an impressionistic. I'm not going to worry about a lot of the fussy details so much. I want to get the impression of these flowers. I love impressionism. So, that's a lot to chew off, or bite off to chew in one sitting, but we're going to see how it goes. So you're just going to come along with me, and we're going to do this together, and yeah, that's what we're going to do. So I've got my reference, but I'm going to put it to the side here so I just can kind of look at it. And these are the colors I've laid out. I've got some vermilion, some flame red, some magenta, some opera rose. And yes, opera rose is fugitive. I don't suggest that you use that if you're going to sell the painting. I'm not going to sell this one. I am just going to, I could make prints of it, but we'll see how it goes. But this is a play and a practice. And then I got some permanent yellow deep, some lemon yellow, some sap green. I don't know what color green this is. What is it? It's permanent green deep. And I also got some Viridian. No, this is Viridian. This is permanent green deep. And then I got some cerulean and some white on here. And if I need extra colors, I'll just add them. And I've got a variety of brushes because I don't know which ones I might like with this. So I've got Royal Lang Nickel. Is it Lang Nickel Roy? Either way, let's see. Oh, it says on here, doesn't it? These are Creative Mark, and no, these are Mimic. This is Royal Lang Nickel, excuse me, and Golden Maple Detail brushes. And this is a Grumbacher, and it is 1/2 inch flat, and I've had it for 500 years. But I don't use it that much, so it's still in good condition. So I've got all this together. I'm going to find my pencil, and I'm just going to sort of give myself a guide of where I want these flowers. So I just want sort of a blob of flowers here, and then maybe some spilling over here, and then some of the yellow flowers here maybe. And then we're just going to do a little, not vase. This is a pot that I have it in. But I'm going to change the pot. I'm just going to make it simple. Just a simple pot, not with all the little designs and everything. And maybe a little flower peeking up here. So let's see how this goes. I think I am going to start out with the darkest, like the magenta. And let's add a little bit of red to it. Oh, now I got too much red. Let's get back with, let's get a little bit more magenta. I want it to be dark, a nice dark color. Yeah, that's the color I think I'm going to start off with. So I'm just going to do like the shapes of the flower. I'm not going to paint any details, and I'm going to start with darker because the magic of gouache is you can paint lighter over darker. And then there's another one maybe here. Well, let's put one peeking behind here. I'm just trying to go by my, not like religiously go by my reference photo from my own flowers. I wish I had saved the tag for the yellow flowers that are in here, the yellow petunias, because I don't know what their name is, but these sort of deep red ones are called maple, and that's why I bought them. I was like, oh, that's perfect. Perfect. And let's do some down here. Now remember, we're doing Impressionism. Impressionism, you're not worried about the detail. You just want to give the impression of an object. It's sort of like what it looks like to you at a quick glance, or a special, or just a moment in time. So that's what we're going for. I don't know how this is going to go. I've never done a larger gouache before, so this is, we're just going to learn together. We're going to see how this goes. Now, I might get quiet every once in a while because I have to concentrate on what I'm screwing up over here, because I will be screwing something up. I don't know what, but something will be screwed up, I promise. But I got to concentrate on it. I got to concentrate on what I'm screwing up. You know, I didn't even grow petunias. And I mean, I've been gardening since, well, I've been following my mama and my grandma around the garden since I was a wee little thing. My mama was an avid gardener. My grandma was an avid gardener. So, of course, I'm an avid gardener. Let's put one here just to see. And gardening makes me feel very connected to the earth. And I think sometimes a lot of us are losing that connection. And it's kind of sad, because we are all part of nature, whether we admit it or not. You are just as much a part of nature as my cute little raccoons that I feed every night. All right, that's looking okay. I'm not mad at that. Let's put some more. Let me mix up a little bit more, because now over here I don't actually have any on my reference photo, so these I'm just winging over here. I'm gonna put some over here anyway, though. I want some just sort of, I don't know, just cascading down. And I'm just drawing I'm just painting little blobs. I'm not being precious with it, for sure. Let's put one over here just to balance out this one a little bit visually. Now I'm going to start putting in some yellow ones. Some of the yellow ones. So I'm going to go with some of this yellow deep. I'm just going to do it straight in there. And I may put some over here, even though it's not in my reference photo. I am using my artistic license to, you know, change the composition to something that I like more. Hopefully it will be a good composition. If not, oh well, I tried. Again, we're just playing. You can't be afraid. Oh, look at those mixing together. That's fine. I like that. I like that mix. That's pretty. Let me pull some more in there. Yeah, I like that. Now, I don't have as many of these yellow ones, the yellow petunias, in my reference photo as I do those maple ones. So I'm just going to leave it at that. As that's drying, I'm going to come in and mix up some green. Now my green is a little too green for me, so I might put a little tiny bit of brown in it. Let me find some brown, or maybe, I know, let's put just a tiny bit of red in it. And that oh yeah, perfect. That's perfect. See, that knocks it back, makes it look a little bit more natural. So now I'm just going to come in here and start doing, oh, you know what I want to do? I want to do the dark leaves first. So I've got that. I'm going to mix some of this darker, like Viridian with it. Put a little bit more red in there. A little bit more Viridian. And that's going to be our darker green. And I'm just going to do some, ooh, that might be a little too brown. Let's come back with a little bit more of the lighter green. Yeah, that's better. Alright, that's better. I don't want it so dark. And remember, the beauty of these is that you can paint over with a lighter color. And I'm just doing little flicks with my brush just to indicate some leaves. And you can do some, I don't know, some little stems if you want, and do some leaves on your stems. Some of these I think I'm just going to start filling in. Instead of doing all these little, I'm going to fill it in solid. I want to see how, I'm going to, yeah, let's fill some of this in like toward the center solid. Remember, we're just experimenting. It's okay if it comes out like trash. It's not going to hurt my feelings. One little bit. Now let's get the color of this pot, which is kind of a tannish brown. So I'm going to do a little bit of white. I'm going to do a little bit of red. I'm going to do a little bit of blue. A little bit more blue. And a little bit of yellow. A little bit more yellow. And that gives us a kind of a yellowy brown. Let me put in a little more red. There we go. And now I'm just going to pick up some of my white, because my pot is sort of a tan color. So now we've got some base going here. We got a good, nice base. Of colors everywhere. And I kind of like it. I think it looks good. Add a little bit more red, a little bit more blue, maybe some green. Get some shadows in here on this. While it's still wet, we just put some of these shadows on here. And that's another plus about gouache is you can use it like watercolor, wet into wet, and let it blend. Alright. I'm going to switch brushes. I'm going to go to my golden maple detail brushes. And I'm going to mix up some orange, some lighter colors. I don't know if you can see it, but there's like opera pinks in here, but then the center is more orange. So I'm going to mix up some of those colors and see what I can get into. So first I'm going to do a little bit of the orange. Maybe a little bit of white into that orange. And then maybe some of that opera pink. Now remember, opera pink is fugitive. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Alright, so right along the edges, there's just some of this opera pink. I'm going to go really light with it. Just right along the edges here. And then some of that orange, that's a little bit too. Let's put some magenta in that orange and darken it up. A little bit of the orange toward the center. I want some of this pink. Pinkish, almost coral color. I'm just going around the edges. I can mix it with some of that orange. And we're just loosely putting in some of these colors. Let me put some magenta right in the center of these. There. Let me put a little bit of green in that magenta. Do a little magenta, a little bit of this green. I'm having to get used to working on this wet palette because this wet palette is really wet, so I'm used to the colors being sort of, what's the word, not as creamy. So these are very liquidy, and I'm having to get used to that. So let's put that darker color right in the center, and that gives it a little bit more definition. You can tell that it's a flower. Alright, let's keep going. I think I'm going to put some really dark in there. Let's let that dry a little bit. Let's keep working around. Just taking some of that yellow, mixing it with the red to make an orange. And just going around that center we just put in. Using a little bit of wet on wet. And grabbing some of that pink. I really like that pink. Too bad it's a fugitive color. I think I'm making a right proper mess here, but I don't care because I like it. I like my little mess. Just messy, messy, messy. It's flowers if I say it's flowers, because my painting, and y'all don't get to tell me what I'm painting. And nobody gets to tell you what you're painting. Well, they could try, but remember, we're going for impressionistic. We're not going for realism. So don't get cranky on it. Don't get upset if it's looking a little messy. I'm kind of going for messy. Put a little more red in that. And I'm going to come back and put their centers in a little bit. Just trying to get some orange in there. And come back with some pink. I'm going to go ahead and put some dark dots. Just so I'll know where the center is. It's so wet that I lost that center, so I'm just going to drop it back in. While that is drying, I'm just going to start putting in some even darker greens. Do some shapes to look like shadows. While we're letting our flowers dry, all right. It's giving it a little bit more dimension. Let me look at my yellow. My yellow ones have really bright center, so I'm going to get into some of this white right here. A little bit of my lemon yellow. I'll do that in the center of these yellow flowers. Now I'm going to let that dry a little bit. I'm going to mix some lighter green with a little bit of lemon yellow and that little bit of sap green, or it might be permanent green light. I'm not sure. I have to look at the package. But my patrons, they will get the full list of the correct colors. And I'm just going to add a little bit of lighter. I'm going to add some white to that too. Just a little bit. And again, we are doing impressionism, so we're not trying to get it to look like something for real. We're just getting the impression of a pot of flowers. Alright. I need a bigger brush, I think. I'm going to get my silver black velvet brush. And I'm going to get just a tiny bit of this orange. And we are going to go around these. Too much pink. Let me wipe that up. It's too much pink, too much pink, too much pink. And then the middle is a lot lighter yellow. So I'm going to go in with some lemon mixed with white, I think. Pick up some of that orange. Yeah, this bigger brush is a little bit better. And it is a silver black velvet pointed round. Get some more orange. All right, that's looking better. Now we got to work on our darker flowers. Let's see. We need a lighter orange in the center. So that's what I'm going to work on. I'm going to do a lighter orange in the center of each one. Maybe a little tiny bit of yellow with it. I mean white and yellow. Just to lighten it up. It needs a little purple though. There we go. Not purple, but magenta. A little bit of white. I kind of like it so far. I mean, it's coming along. I don't hate it. I don't love it, but it's coming along. It is coming along as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to mix up some Opera Rose and some white and a little bit of this orange. A little bit more. A little bit more yellow in there. There we go. That's better. And we are just going to hit those outer edges. I need more white. Let me get some more. There we go. And you see, I'm just making brush strokes. I'm not really trying to paint a flower. I'm just making brush strokes. Now I'm going to let this dry. And we're going to come back to it in a second. So I've let everything dry. And I think I am going to work on the centers just a little bit. Now, I have got to get used to this wet palette. It just keeps the paint so creamy. I don't know. I don't know. So I'm going to put a little bit of green. There's some green in the center of these bright yellow flowers. And then I think I'm going to come back with some of that white and mix in a little bit of the yellow, just like a teeny tiny, like almost pure white, and just put that in the center as well, right next to that green dot. And that helps it look a little better. Now I am going to try with this filbert brush. I am going to get some more of this opera pink and a little bit of that deeper orange. And maybe a tiny bit of the white. Here, let's get some of this white. And I'm just going to start adding some of that to where they have the highlight. It's just highlighted just ever so slightly. on the edges. Might add a little bit more white and a little bit more yellow. I love that you can paint light over dark with gouache. And I like this sort of painterly, impressionistic style. I love Monet's work. I love all the impressionists. So, and when I used to paint with acrylic, that's what I used. I mean, that's the style that I painted in, was impressionistic. Let me get a little, needs more white. And so that's what I'm going for here. I'm not going for a realism. I'm just going for a bunch of beautiful colors and shapes that just gives me the impression of a flower. And just add some highlights here and there. Now I'm going to go for some low light, some darker. And I'm going to start with that center of the sort of orangey flowers. Actually, I'm going to come in here with some orange and just hit it here and there. And a little bit more of that brighter yellow in that orange. See what happens here. Just a little bit brighter. I'll just add some highlights here and there. And I'm trying to like sort of pull those brush strokes in toward the center in a little curvy way. I'm trying to get used to this wet palette. I love it, but it definitely makes your paint a lot creamier, a lot more watery. So I'm adjusting to that feel. And the consistency of the paint. This is the first time I've ever used a wet palette, and I'm not hating it. I'm not mad at it. I kind of like it. I'm just having to adjust and get used to the creaminess. I'm not used to my paint staying so creamy. I got to remind myself not to be adding water. Because the water will just make it more like watercolor and less like gouache. Oh, I'm liking these. I didn't think I was going to like them, but now that I let them dry and I'm working on them again, I'm liking them again. Truth be told, I had to take Darcy to the vet. He was due for his shots, so I had to stop and come back. Now I'm going to go in with some darker colors. I've got to remember to dry my brush off before I bring it back to this palette. I'm going to start off with this, a little magenta. I'm going to rinse my brush. It's okay if some green gets into it. That's not what I wanted to do, but, well, yeah, let's go with this darker green here and put it into the magenta to get a really nice dark. And then I'm just going to start painting centers, this even darker color. And that gives it a little more definition. Now, this isn't my usual style, but I'm kind of liking it. I like this. I like it way better than I thought I would, to be honest with you. Now, do I have some dark centers in all of my pinkish orange? I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to work on my yellow a little bit more. That yellow has a little bit more of a... Oh, I think I'm going to go back to my filbert. Where is my filbert? What did I do? Oh, it's right in front of my face. That's why I can't find it. I'm going to go back to my filbert. I'm going to get just a little bit of this color. I'm just going to put it right on the edge. Just in the basic shape of the flower, and then rinse my brush. I need another paper towel. Sorry, this paper towel's getting so wet. I'm really not used to this wet palette. Then I'm going to rinse my filbert brush, and I'm going to come back to this yellow, and I'm going with the deep yellow, but I'm also going to mix it with just a little bit of that lemon yellow. Yeah, that's more like it. I'm going to put some of this here. And then come back with that darker orange just on the edges. Get some of that darker color with the magenta. Oops. This gouache is really, really watery. Now I'm going to pick up some more of that pinky orange color. Just go along the edges here. And I'm doing that while that yellow is still wet, so it kind of blends around in the edges. Just a little bit. And we're just making messy little flowers. We're just messing. We're just practicing. You don't have to get all Twitter-pated about it. Now I am going to dry this, and I will be right back because I want to start adding some darker details. Alright, I've gotten it dry, but I think I want to add some more of these yellow flowers down here. I'm just going to do a little circle. Just a little circle blob. I don't know, I just feel like I need some more here and some more up, like a one there. Maybe one peeking out from back behind here. And maybe one, I don't know, maybe another one here. So we're just going to let those dry while I work on my, yeah, that looks better to me, I think, compositionally. Alright, now I am going to switch brushes. Y'all, I'm liking this experiment. It's not, I mean, it's nothing great, but I just like it. I like my experiment. So now I'm going to go with this, this deep magenta. And I want it to be just like a little bit darker, so I'm going to get a little bit of that cerulean blue and just darken it up some. And yeah, that'll be good. And then I'm going to just start adding some shadow detail. Coming out from that center a little bit. I might even get a smaller brush. This brush, let me get my smaller brush. That one's a little bit thicker than I wanted. Let's see what I got going on over here. Let's try this. Let's see, that was a golden maple size. What was that size? 1. Oh, those are the same size. Let me see if I can get something smaller than a 1. That's 5/10. What is this one? Let's try a 0. And just add some shadows in there. And do the same thing around the flower. And yeah, this 0 is working a lot better. It's not as thick and gloopy. And that definitely gives it some definition. I might add a little bit of red to that. I think that might look better. Let's try some with some red to it. Not that much of a difference. A little bit of a difference. Put some little shadows on there. And I'm just doing some little, I don't know, some little lines in the center. And they're sort of radiating out. And I'm putting some up at the little, where the petals are separated in some of the spots. Oh, I think I'm going to add a little bit more of this magenta-y pink. Some spots. Ooh, pretty, pretty. Maybe a little bit of the... You know, I'm going to fuss with it, and then I'm going to overwork it. Y'all know I'm going to do it, but I can't stop myself sometimes. Let's put a little darker here. Now I'm going to do some really pale pink highlights. On these red ones. They really need to be more coral, I think. Let's put a little orange in there. I think that'd look, yeah, it needs to be a little warmer. Put a little more orange in it, just to warm it up. I'm going to have to come back and put some darker colors right there. And I'm just doing little splotches of this highlight color just to kind of wake it up a little bit. This one definitely needs to go a little bit darker there. Underneath that. Just putting some orange hits here and there. And I'm going to work on those yellow ones, but I'm going lighter with that. So I'm going to get some white. Some of this lemon yellow. Dry my brush off to get some of that excess moisture off. And we're just going to paint the centers, or around the centers, out toward the edge. Just little smoosh marks, nothing special. I'll take some of this orange and go around the edges of these new ones that I painted in. And then take some of that brighter yellow, kind of blend it at the edges and pull it toward the center. A little bit more orange in there. And work on the ones up here some. Get a little bit of that orange. Go around the edges. And I'm just doing messy brush strokes. All just sort of outlining. Then I'm just going to come back in with the orange and sort of go toward that center with my brush strokes, and then come with this really pale yellow and do that right around the center where we're going to put the center anyway. And let those dry a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of a dark green dot. I'm going to make this, the centers just a teeny tiny bit more defined. While those dry up some, I am going to work on the pot that it's in. So I'm going to mix up some more of this brown and get a little yellow in there, a little of the red, a little blue. More blue, more red, till I get a deeper brown. That's going to be my shadow color. I'm just going to layer it on top of what I already have here. And then I'm going to mix some white with that. Maybe even a little smidgen of blue in there. Some of the pink. Oops, probably too much pink. Let's get some more of the white and brown. Yeah, there we go. And while it's still wet, I'm just coming over and just doing some brush strokes in there. And I've got like some of the pink and a little bit of the blue in there, a little bit of the mixture of brown in there. And then I'm going to come in with this darker green here. Mix up a deep kind of a purpley gray, I think. And a little touch of the red. More of the blue. And some of the deeper yellow. And that's going to be my darker shadow here. I almost want that to be I'll let that dry. We'll work on my little yellow ones again with the bright yellow, the light yellow. And I'm just doing some little dots here and there of highlight. Now I'm going to get a deeper, like a reddish orange. Draw some interior shadows on these. Y'all know I'm overworking this, but I can't stop myself. I cannot stop. I can't stop. Can't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. having a little white dot. Each one of these darker petunias actually have a white dot right in the center of that dark dot. I'll go ahead and add that. Also going to add a little bit of a lighter dot right there in the center of these green ones. Oh, this one doesn't even have a center. A little green dot for it. Now while that's drying, I'm going to add some more. I'm going to add some more leaves. Or I'm going to fuss up these leaves some. And just add some more leaves here and there. Just going to add some highlights down the front. And I'm also going to add a shadow to ground it, so I'm just going to kind of sort of wet under here. Just sort of wet it and just use some of the blue with that red to make sort of a little, and I'm going to flood it with water so that it'll be a little bit more transparent. You can even add a little bit of that pink in there into the shadow from the flowers, a little bit of the orange and red. And I think I'm going to make it go just a tiny bit darker, like right under the pot, where the deepest shadow is. Let me get some more of this, a little bit of this orange. Just put it here and there. Oh, I think I'm almost done. I don't think I can do much more damage to this. I am adding just some of the orange, all on, not just on the pinkish orange or the maple, but I'm also doing it on the yellow ones. And that orange is just the deep yellow mixed with a little bit of the flame red. I think I'm gonna call it done, because if I keep doing anything else to it, I'm gonna mess it up worse. But I like it. I hope you like it, and I hope you get out your supplies and try new things. I am going to darken up this shadow under here. It's still too light for me. I am going to darken this up just a little bit. And I just mix that magenta and the blue and all the colors together. I might even put some up here into the foliage. I think I will. Put a little bit of this purple up here. Alright, we're going to call it done because if I keep messing with it, it's going to be a hot mess. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and get out your gouache and try something new.